वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह तन तन Sahib Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. A very good evening to all Sewadars and mutual Sangat that have tuned from all over the globe. Today we are going to tribute to Sant scholar Sant Baba Brahmgani Sant Baba Naranjan Singh, the patron of Sikh Northern Sabah. Today is Babaji's birthday. You will see on the background Sanji visiting and having a dialogue with our first Prime Minister Tunku Abdul Rahman, empowering Sikhs' presence in Malaysia. Babaji has been the close friend of Sant Baba Son Singh Ji. Thank you, and let's celebrate his birthday today. Thank you, Tan Tan Sahib Sri Guru Granth Sahib. Today we have a special section interesting in empowering our youth Sikhs and topic on anger management relating to legal consequences. Let me introduce to you the panels, the distinguished speakers present today here. They are sharing their thoughts and valuable insights, which are very much needed in today's norm. I now hand over the stage to Prof. Sajid Singh Gill, social anthropologist, Faculty of Ecology, University Putra, Malaysia. Let me speak about Prof. Sajid. I know him since for last 30-40 years. And I got permission of Prof. Sajid saying that he had failed SRP twice. And today, with his continuously improving himself, and when he was doing his degree program, he was also working as a security guard at Paifla says Jaga. And today, with continuous empowering himself, he's become a top person in Malaysia, and he is now a full prof at University Putra, Malaysia. I thank Prof and for his presence here. Going forward is Associate Professor Dr. Dalila Kaur Randawal, Faculty of Law, University Technology Mara. And I would like to welcome these two beautiful panelists here to speak their mind on their topics. I hereby hand over my mic to Associate Professor Dr. Dalila Randawal. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Virji. Before I start, firstly, I would like to thank Sabah Naujawan and Sikh Insight for having such a beautiful studio done here. I must share something here. You see, we are academicians, and throughout this year, due to MCO and COVID-19, we have been actually conducting plenty of virtual conference, or we shall say online conference lately. And all of those conferences were done at the comfort of our home. We have our laptops in front of us, or our desktops, and we are at home sitting and having our virtual conference done. Now this is the first time I'm here in a studio where I am actually standing and doing my conference. So aaj te khare hoke gal karni chahiye. So thank you very much. Great job done, great effort. I'm actually amazed when I walked in here and I saw the studio. Good job done by Sabah Naujawan and Sikh Insight. All right, my slides. All right, today I'm going to share something. My topic, Prevalence and Correlates of Anger in the Community Impact from the Legal Perspective. What am I going to be talking about today will be basically about anger. Gussa, in Punjabi we say it, Sarya nu gussa chardana. So that is what we are going to talk about today, and this is a bit on the objective of what my topic is all about: identifying your anger triggers, know your anger cues, know your anger style. Anger also, we do have a style, and of course a little bit on dealing with your anger effectively. Now this particular model, we have actually used it for our students at our faculty, and we have seen it helps a little, I would say, in how to deal with anger. Now, does everybody experience anger? Well, I would say yes, we do. Everybody gets angry. We all do, and it's okay to get angry. Why we say? Because whatever you feel, that's what you're going to express it out, right? If in the house gas muk janda, sanu gussa char janda, am I right? And if roji topo hundiya, garmi hundiya, also we are angry, and then we grumble, you know, bari topo, bari garmi lagdiya, we are also angry. And if it rains every day also, we grumble, li rain is okay, and then we grumble, gussa fir char janda. Now, it's okay when there's no gas in the house, or when there is rain, and when there is hot, we feel all these, we get angry, we express out how we feel, because this is what we are normal humans, and we need to express it out. But the issue is this, the important thing is, the but here is, how you act is up to you. When you are angry, how do you act? That is important. Why that matters? Why am I talking about anger here? Why does that matter? Because it leads you to how you are going to act, and it leads you to consequences, it leads you to repercussions, and it leads you to some legal consequences that you are going to face, which I am going to talk about today, which I am going to share a little here. Now, the legal consequences that I am going to share with here would be on a little bit on domestic violence, divorce, bully. Why am I bringing in here a bit on domestic violence and divorce? Because this is something which is dealing particularly into my research area, where I deal with a lot on women empowerment, women's research, and I would like to deal with that. And bullying is something that we are looking at into a research at our faculty, dealing with bullies at the faculty here, at how students commit bullies. Now, let me give you an example of how does a particular anger lead to legal consequence. For example, you're driving your car, you're going to a particular destination, and you reach to your destination, and then you look for a parking lot, right? You need to park your car. In Malaysia, you know lah, it's not very easy to get a parking space every time you go. So you search. Now, you make one round, you don't get a parking space. You make a second round, you still don't get a parking space. Third round. Now, what happens to you? Anger builds in, right? Gussa char gaya, parking ni mili. And in that particular anger, what do? We just find a spot which is an illegal space, and you just park your car there, and you said, leave it lah, let's see what happens, and we walk away, right? You did that in anger, because you just couldn't find a parking space, and you just leave your car there. Now you go run your errands, come back, and then what happens? Once you are back, pop, you see a summon which is at your windscreen. Now, then you get angry the second time, right? Hi, summon mil gaya, right? But you see, you get angry again. Now, your anger have led to a legal consequence, right? You breached the law, right? You parked the car at the place which is not supposed to be parked, illegal parking. So it has led you to a legal consequence. So that is what we are looking at. Now, we see lots of these issues here, right? Anger leading to legal consequence. Now, the parts, whatever that I've actually put here and shared today, which I'm going to be sharing today, may be looking at domestic violence and divorce, but let me tell you that there are more other legal implications or consequences that we may suffer, such as public crimes, rape, murder. All these actually, if you look into the root cause, it relates to anger. All right, now let's look. Okay, domestic violence. What is domestic violence? We see domestic violence is a pattern of violence, abuse, intimidation used to control or maintain power over a partner who is or has been in an intimate relationship. Basically, in simple words, is husband beat the wife, or the wife beat the husband, mother-in-law beat the daughter-in-law, the daughter-in-law beat the mother-in-law. Basically, violence within a home. It can even happen with anyone who lives in the same home. So that is what we are looking at, domestic violence. Okay. Now, the forms of domestic violence that we can have here, physical. Physical is basically, it deals with beating, you know, punching, take the velna and beat. That is physical violence. Emotional, psychological violence, this is where you basically intimidate someone, or you say things to emotionally make the person feel very bad. You know, an example of emotional violence that I can relate to, which is under the law in India, is when a woman actually gives birth to only girls, and the mother-in-law actually and when the mother-in-law actually says things to her, saying that you have just given birth to girls, that is considered as domestic violence. A part of that also, if let's say Dowry is also considered as domestic violence in India. Whereas in Philippines, if let's say under the law in Philippines, if you abuse the animal or the pet of the house, and in order to intimidate maybe the child or the wife or someone in the home, that is also considered as domestic violence, which is a form of emotional or psychological violence. Sexual, we all know sexual violence. Financial abuse, basically it's not allowing the wife to go out to work, or instance forcing the wife or the husband to take loan, and then one of the partner uses up the money. That is considered as financial abuse. These are forms of violence which we see. Now why does this happen? If you see, literally it's due to anger, right? You are angry, you beat. You are angry, you say things. You are angry sexually, you do something. You are angry, you force the wife not to go out to work, or you force her to take loan for you. So it basically happens due to anger. Right? Then, so like we've seen lately, due to this COVID-19, we saw that Malaysia has been spiked in number of domestic violence cases following due to the movement control order which was imposed in March 18. Now, why we saw this? Basically, it's okay, there is indeed an increase in domestic violence cases. Largely, it was due to stress and abuse of partners from being confined in the home. So, sare karicha bathe, what will happen is, ek duje de naal, roj, how many months we were in confined in the home. You have to cook, you have to entertain your kids, lots of things. This is if you are with your family. Imagine for those people who are living in with the extended family, mother-in-law, father-in-law, you have everyone in the house. So these lead to stress in the home, which has caused cases of domestic violence to really spike. Alright, and we saw that during this health crisis, isolation and concerns over health, finance would aggravate in abusers' desire to exert power and control. And we also saw that everyone was at home, so much of stress. However, with fewer ways for abusers to release the stress, there will be a spike. Now, I don't know whether it was read in the newspapers. There was a case where a man actually abused his wife, and he stabbed his wife, and he stabbed his father-in-law. And then, there was a police report made. When they came back, he stabbed the wife, he stabbed the father-in-law, and then after stabbing them, although they survived the attack, he walked to his room and he hanged himself on the ceiling fan, you see. So that was a case of domestic violence during MCO that happened. And that actually, when we read, it was actually basically due to financial constraint that he was going through, and they couldn't control that, and due to that, fights, you see, at the end of the day, that occurs. There was even another case, I think if it was read, it was reported in the newspapers, where a husband actually abused and killed his wife because the wife was actually seeking for a divorce. So there was another case. You see that she was a lecturer. So these are examples of certain cases which happens during this MCO time, stress, which is caused. Now, domestic violence, basically, if you ask me, it is not an uncontrollable. It is basically an anger which you can control, and anger need to be properly channeled. Why? Because if it's not properly channeled, what will happen is the same anger which caused the victim will retaliate and attack. Like example is this. Let's say if a wife is abused, okay, she gets very angry, right? So when she gets angry, what she will do is she will later abuse back the husband because she's angry. You beat me, I want to beat you back, right? So she beats back the husband, and this is what happens. They say that particular relationship will make it will turn out to be more volatile and dangerous. And what are the legal implications or complications that you suffer at the end of the day? You will see, instead of the abuser going to jail, you see the victim going to jail. Because, when you are angry, the kind of abuse that you may inflict on someone, you may not know, it may be very, very volatile and dangerous. So this is something. If I could just share with everyone, is regarding this case about Kiranjit Kaur Ahluwalia. It happened in sometime in 1992. It was a domestic violence case which led to they introduced the battered woman syndrome. Now what happened was, this girl was from India, and she married a guy who was from UK, England. Got married due to arranged marriage. She was forced to actually get married. She didn't want to get married. So she married. And what happened in that case was she actually literally suffered abuse from the husband for 10 years. So she was literally abused every day. Now one evening, I think she was abused. The husband pressed hot iron on her face, and she was really in pain, crying, emotionally, physically. She was literally suffering that particular day. I think she couldn't, like they say, cannot tahan anymore with that pain. And in the evening, in the night, when the husband was sleeping, what she did was she took petrol, and she poured it on his feet, thinking of giving him pain. What was in her mind was, she was thinking that the kind of pain that you give me, I want to give you back the same pain, and I want you to also suffer. So that, she brought the petrol and she alighted his feet and started burning, and of course, literally, after 10 days, he died of severe burns. In her mind, actually, she was just thinking of burning the feet. But she, at that point of time, because of her anger, the kind of abuse that she inflicted was very volatile and dangerous. So, at the end of the day, bandai mar gaya, you see. And she was, of course, it became a case, and it went in England, and somehow or other she was released after many years when the Black Southall sisters came in and helped her out. And that was when they introduced the battered woman syndrome, because according to her, a woman who has been abused for many, many years, succumbing to such abuse, it has led her to, one day just explode and cause. So that is why I say that when you are in anger, the kind of abuse that you may inflict, you may not know how pain it could be, right? So what do we suggest is, when you are angry in a situation when there is domestic violence, better to use that anger as a motivation to simply leave the relationship than to be in a relationship like this. Leave me in the sense, at least get some shelter somewhere, not just be there and suffer, right? Now, after listening to me, please, ladies, don't go back in anger and light your husbands on fire, all right? This is just something to share. In anger, we can do a lot of other things, all right? Now, another thing, that was domestic violence. Let's look at divorce, which we see nowadays is basically the root cause of inability to be patient. Why do divorce happens? If you really analyze and see most of the cases that has been around, why cases we see divorce, it's because we are unable to control our temper, we are unable to be patient with our loved ones. You see this, right? Now, during the pandemic, we see couples face a lot more stresses, right? What are the kind of stresses? We see frustration from homeschooling, constant childcare. I think most of the mothers went through this, right? And of course, the division of chores. Pandey kine tone aja, sare ne khana kha liya, pandey rente na, who's going to wash, who's going to do the dishes? This is a problem, and this is where stress comes. Financial tension. Why? Because during this COVID-19, some are laid off from jobs, and some are asked to accept a blow to their income, where they are asked to accept a reduction of salary. So these have also caused a lot of stress among the family. And a part of that, working from home. Working from home may be fun for some who just like being at home, but some find it very difficult when you're working from home and dealing with children. This causes a lot of stress to us. So this is where we realize that during this MCO cases, not just on domestic violence, but we see divorce also happen. Now, these are the reasons that we see, all right, which have actually are the reasons where couples were put in bad mood. Now, when all these things happen, you are put in bad mood, fight happens at the end of the day. If you look back, the root cause is anger. It could have been just easy to deal with, right? If we say, aja pandai kine tone ya, it becomes a fight. Who's going to wash the dishes, right? So, one after another, it leads, and it has been a situation where it's not easy for hard feelings and arguments. It's very easy, due to these feelings, hard feelings comes, arguments happens. And we realize today that, young couples today, they are not willing to tolerate unhappy lives and are more optimistic about their rights and abilities to attain personal happiness. Now, what we see nowadays among the young couples who get married nowadays, I'd just like to share that, when they find their relationship is unhappy, they lead to the easiest way is to the marriage, or because they feel that they need to gain happiness. Now, I remember those days, when my mother told me once, when they got married, their parents told them that ਹੁਣ ਤੇਰਾ ਵਿਆਹ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ, ਉਹ ਤੇਰਾ ਘਰ ਵਾ, and that's the end of it, you are now married, that's your home, ਤੇਰਾ ਸੁੱਖ ਦੁੱਖ ਸਾਰਾ ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਵਾ, they tell that to their daughters, But is that really right? Do we tell that to our daughters nowadays once you are married and I don't know whether you have heard all these silly songs that goes on, Babul ka gar, kuch din ka tikana, they sing like that during daughters vidai, and I go like, what these silly songs are saying, kuch din ka tikana, and then they say, when the kuri torni, they say that things like ja tiye tere gar, then I go like, so are you trying to tell me that all this while I was living in a rented house with my parents here, main kiraya dandi si age, wasn't that my home? You see, so these are things which we feel. Why I'm talking about it is because when we say this to our children, or especially to our daughters, jati tera gar, so when she faces problem, where are the parents? I mean, parents should walk in to come and actually help out in this relationship, because I feel literally it is undeniable that there are many marriages that actually can be saved if couples are ready to make changes. Sometimes in anger, the couple may not know that this particular marriage could be saved. It's just anger which you are dealing with, which can actually save your marriage. So these are the things that we need to tell. So we need people, we need parents to come in to solve. Now, of course, there are some parents who are actually also shit stirrers, I would say. When they see there's problem, they stir more shit and they make more trouble also. There are. But I think literally most parents are here today to save marriages for their children. If at all they are facing problems, I think we need to move and help in to help them, because if you see, the root cause is basically anger. Right, I remember that there were a few cases that were dealt with when it's divorce. And when I asked him, why do you actually want a divorce, and he says things like, I come home, my wife doesn't cook, every day there's no food, I'm very angry. Okay, so you get the thing or not? He's very angry because there's no food at home. Then deep down heart, to aap bana la khana, tu hi khana hai na. To aap banala is not a big thing, I know. Maybe one day you make, second day you make, or rather you can talk it out, it's just food, or you go out and buy it. I mean, you can save a marriage, And then there's this one once, a guy, he said that, my wife doesn't show respect at all to my parents. And I said, it's not actually a very big deal. It doesn't, I mean, things can be talked out, and it's small issues that you are dealing with. Right? Just because of this, are you going to end your marriage? So that is why I said it is marriages today. It's undeniable. It can be saved, because if you see whatever problem that you're looking at, it's basically the root cause is anger. How to deal with it is only the difficult thing is in dealing with it. All right. Then another part that we're looking at is bullying. Bullying is happening, right? It's a behavior, is a serious problem among school-aged children, right? And we notice that anger is a powerful emotion shared by victims. Now, we notice at our faculty when we are doing, in colleges, we have college where students live. We realize that bullying is also like a chain effect thing. When I see someone who is a bully, it tends to make me also want to become a bully. We have noticed that. And at our faculty, what we are seeing is, I was actually, when we give group assignments to students, I was approached by this one particular group which came to me and told me that, they were actually being bullied by the other member, because they had to do up all the assignments. So this was part of it. Now, and then I realized that it was not just this particular guy in this group, but actually they are actually like a team and in many other groups. So they become bullies. Why? Because they threaten and they hurt the victims. Now, of course, that form of bully wasn't much of a hurt, but forcing someone to do the assignments when you are supposed to do, it's a form of bully. And it is not always wrong to get angry. Like I said, it's okay to get angry, but it is wrong to take it out or take out your anger on others. Now, if you see here, types of bullying that we see, okay, hitting, kicked, pushed, shoved around, locked indoors, okay, left out of activities on purpose, which happens literally at universities. We see you're made fun of your religion, alright, and you're made fun of your body or face, body shaming they call it, made fun with sexual jokes, and we see that male students have a higher chance of physically being bullied. Physically means beaten up, pushed and things like this. That happens more among the male students. Happens because of anger. They just want to show that they are angry, they are in power, they do it. And another one, the female students we see, it's more likely to be body shamed compared to the males. Why? One girl looks more better than the other and she shames her, telling her you're fat, you're ugly. So this is that's what happened among the female students. Now, basically what bugs you or what triggers you? If you see something that happens that makes you angry, right? But you must bear in mind, what triggers you does not always trigger someone. What may make me angry may not make someone angry. So it differs from everyone perspective of being angry. And we see, if you know your anger triggers, then what should you do? If you know what makes you angry, simplest thing that I always say is try to avoid them or learn how to deal with it. For me, what I normally do is I try to avoid them, because when I'm angry, I know I can't deal with it, so I avoid it because that's the safest thing for me to do. And you make a list. So you know your anger triggers and you make a list and you do it. What's the best for you? Now, anger cues, if you can see, these are some of the anger cues that we have, which of course, firstly, a clenched fist. I don't do this because I feel it could hurt me. And the second one is raising and pounding heartbeat. Heartbeat, you know, you start delvajan lagpya because you are angry. If this happens to you, basically I can say you're going to get a heart attack. Okay, so, and another one is sweat. Some do face this. You sweat when you are in angry, you try to express it out and you get more angry, you sweat. And another one, loud voice. Now this is what normally I do. When I am angry, I can really be loud, and I think this is something which most of the Punjabi mothers do, right? We get angry, especially with the children. You tell them one time, "Bogga leke parlo," they will never sit. Duji bara akhe, "Beta bogga leke parlo," but the school holiday wa kus karlo, parlo, putuk parlo. They will not listen to you. The moment you rose, "Meg hona akhyawa, bogga leke parlo," nete putte hatta dia chaper wajugi. Correct or not? In anger, we say that. Now, actually, I also don't know how does a putte hatta chaper. I've never done that. But that's what happened. It works. If you see the Westerns, they always say, whenever there's a problem, you should sit and talk to your children. Trust me, kita hayawa, but it doesn't work for me. I don't know. It may work for some, but the table talk thing doesn't seem to work with me and my kids at home. At the end of the day, I think I'm the loud voice, you know, in anger, loudly. But I'm trying to control this after what I've done with my talk and my model. I've tried it out. It works sometimes, but sometimes we need to use it, right? Red face, okay, or upset stomach. Some people do have this. When they are angry, they have this upset stomach. They keep running to the toilet many times because they are angry. Now, so what are your anger cues? You tell me. You do it at your own convenience to see what is it that triggers you, and when you get angry, how do you behave, right? And you complete the list, okay? And what's your anger style? It's not just wearing nice clothes, having proper style. Anger de vich vi style hegawa. So let's see, what are your anger styles now? We have acting out. You act out your anger, or you dumping it out, or by bearing it. Now, let's see what is acting out. Acting out is easiest to recognize. Why? Because like just now I said, right, it's easy when you are just angry, you just loud voice, and it's when you strike out at the person you are mad at. Either you can be physically, you strike out, you take a velna and you hit, or you verbally scold or say things, you know. Now, if this happens, now we say you are out of control because you can't control it. This is when, like I said, one time you tell your son, beta bogal leke palla, duji vari akhya, tiji vari akhya, but you sunde ni, then we get out of control, we scream and we shout. Now, what happens? Basically, you get in trouble. Why do you get in trouble? Because your children may not like you because you have shouted at you and you say, oh, mommy, you're so bad. I didn't expect you to shout. Children are very clever, whenever they have things, they always have expectation. I didn't expect you, mommy, to talk to me like that, They're very smart. So basically, you have got yourself in trouble with your children now, and your problem is not solved because, trust me, inna mi chika mar ke aado, taamini bogale ke beke parde, So sometimes you see, it's not really solved. Why I say it not solved? Because now we are solving the problem between the kid is, mommy, you shouldn't have shouted at me. So we have to have a discussion about how to talk now. So that's why I say it's never solved. Okay. And then the second way that we have is basically by dumping or displaced anger. You dump your anger. Now, shifting your feelings to someone you feel it's safe to be mad at. And what do? You, like this example I say, guy gets mad at his boss, comes home, yells at his wife, and who will later yell at the kids, who will kick the dog. This is basically taking out your anger and being very, very abusive. So when you do this, you are angry elsewhere and you come home and you just dump it out, you get angry, you hit, you cause people pain. Right? Now, what happens here? Okay. What happens here? You have hurt an innocent person, you have hurt your loved ones, and is your problem solved? No, it's not even solved yet. So in anger, you see the consequence, gusse de vich, you still don't solve it. Now, the other one is you burying it or you basically ignore it. What do we say is, now when you hold your anger down inside yourself because you think it is nice to have those feelings, right? And what will happen? You denying your anger, which isn't denying it, isn't dealing with it, right? You just keep denying it. No, it's okay. It's okay. I think I'm okay. I think I'm okay. And you keep saying that. And what might happen if it can come out in other ways? Headache, stomachs, anxious, depressed. Now, what we see happens here is what happened in that particular case of Kiranjit Kaur Ahluwalia, where what she was doing was she was burying her anger, and at the end of the day, what happened? One day you might just explode. And when she exploded, remember I told you, the anger that has caused becomes very dangerous, very volatile, and you cause death to someone. So at the end of the day, that anger retaliates in such a way. So that is why when you bury it, it becomes dangerous, volatile, which you don't want that to happen to. Right? When it explodes, like I said, in Kiranjit Kaur case, it really exploded. She killed her husband. Now, so what do you do here? You have actually hurt yourself. You have hurt others also. Has your problem solved? Not solved again. So, in anger, I said, issues don't get solved. Problems that don't get solved, it leads to legal consequences. Now, so what should we do then? How do we actually deal with our anger, right? How? Ki karna chaida? What do we do? Gussa te sarya nu hondawa, isn't it? It's very difficult, easy for me. It's easy for you to stand there and so, but what do we do when we are angry now? When you find yourself angry, remember one thing, that the only behavior you can manage is your own behavior and not anyone else. You cannot. You can only control your own behavior when you are angry. So what you do, pay attention to your anger cues. You know if it's going to make you shout. You know you're going to explode. You know you're going to get angry. You're going to have a clenched fist. You know all these things. So you need to, if you are feeling like you're going to lose it, simply said, stop it. You need to learn how to stop. It's easy to say, but try it. It may help, right? Some of the dangers of anger. Now, what we said, the uncontrollable anger that you may have, negative consequences. It can cloud our ability to make good decisions, right? At that point of time, you may not know. You could save your marriage, but because of anger, you said, no, this is the end of it, right? And it affects relationship, co-workers. It destroys trust between teams, right? Unexpressed anger can be harmful as outward rage. Like I said, in Kiranjit Kaur's case, it became a rage. It caused death. And frequent anger, they said, whether expressed or not, a study which has been done has says that people who are regularly, you get angry very often, you are likely to suffer from heart disease, right? That's why you see people dying of heart attacks, So could be. Research have been done. They say there is a link between anger and premature death. So further studies have also discovered that anger correlates to anxiety and depression. We have seen this during MCO, right? a lot of women have actually gone through this anxiety, depression. There's a study done by a Canadian research. A Canadian university have done a research where they have said that due to MCO and due to this coronavirus thing, COVID-19 has actually affected women more than men, if you see. And I would literally agree, because we are also doing a research at our faculty, but it's haven't completed yet, so I really can't share with you all the data. But we have done towards what we can see the trend is going. Yes, literally, women have suffered more due to MCO. They have suffered in terms of, it relates to anxiety, depression, which have been seen. And once my research completes, probably then I will present it out one day. All right. And so what do we do here now? I said now, for instance, you need to get a grip when you are angry. So what do you do when you're angry? Cool off, stay calm. You know, simplest way which I normally do is walk away. It's easy to do that. It's not difficult. If someone comes and tell me, no lah, not easy. How to walk away? Cannot lah, tak boleh lah. I'm angry. Main kadike jana gussa aja. No, so that means you are wrong. You to kadike jana, you're going to get in trouble. That's where the problem is not solved. When there is a problem, when you know you can't do anything, you know you are angry and things are going to become worse, walk away. Count to 10, try. I've never tried this. Normally my trend is to walk away. And of course, take deep breaths. This we tell our kids, right? Thanda ho ja. Count 10 times. 1, 2, 3. They count. Take deep breaths. It works for children. I must say this. All right. And using, use calming self-talk. I can handle this. Chill. It's not as bad as it seems it's coming to me. I think I can handle. I think I'm cool. Stay chill. Stay cool. We say this now. This normally I say to my kids when they're angry. Better count to 10. Take a deep breath. Thanda ho ja, we tell him, So, thande ho jande, So, but normally I do the first one, walk away. Right? And imagine that you are in a peaceful place. Not easy to imagine that, but try, because it works sometimes. Imagining when you walk away, you'll be peaceful. Once you walk away, you're already in a peaceful place. So, you're no more in that place where your anger is. And give yourself some time to sort things out, because this need to be done. When you are angry, write the problem down on a paper. Think it through, ask yourself what really has happened, and that could solve, because sometimes you need time. Once you have walked away, think it out, write it out. Well, this is what I'm angry with, and how do I solve it? It may help, right? And how was I triggered? What were my cues, So from here you can know, this is how I'm going to control my anger now. And it may help. Third part, they said, turn your energy into better energy. Now, tell the person making you angry how you feel. For instance, if you feel that I have to do all the dishes every day, what do we normally do? Gusse de vich apa hadane? Every day, roj main pande tundiya, or not. Can't you help me to wash the pande today? You do it today, in anger we say it. Instead of saying it that way, use it the reverse psychology way. Say it, well, I'm also getting tired. You see my hands, the skin is peeling out because I'm washing the dishes every day. So maybe that may put some sense, that, let's help out, because she needs help in washing the dishes. So channel your energy, they say, tell to the person telling them how you feel, and channel your angry energy into physical activity. Basically, they are telling you to do exercise, try to solve the problem, try to accept situations that you can't change. All right. So importantly, if you see these pictures, basically are telling you gusse de vich either vacuum cleaner leke satisfy karan lagpo, it helps also, or exercise karan lagpo, it does help. Well, exercise because it gives you to relax. Okay. So in conclusion, does everybody gets angry? Yes, I would say we all get angry. Maybe some people may be angry with me after my talk, listening to, oh, it's easy for you to say, but I'm always angry. But everybody gets angry. That's how it is, because by nature we need to. We are human beings. Naturally it happens to us. And the difference comes in what you do about it. So in simple words, get a grip. And thank you so much. Thank you. And I will now pass on to our next speaker, Prof. Sarjit, to share his insight.
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. First of all, I would like to thank Sikh Nojawan Sabah Malaysia and Sikh Insight for organizing this very important Semelan, e-Samelan for the first time. And I'm so happy to be here looking at the setting up of the studio and the teamwork and the Sewadar. I think they have been doing a lot of good work for the community. My topic is entitled Empowering Sikh Youth in Malaysia, the Role of Gurdwaras and NGOs. Basically, I presented this Empowering Sikh Youth, the Role of Gurdwaras 3 years ago in a seminar organized by Malaysian Gurdwara Council. So, but now I already make up another additional topic on NGOs as well, because I would like to give my analysis on the NGOs. So these are my very brief profile, what I've been doing in university and some activities with the government, NGOs, and also sitting in some panel of policy making with the government and so on. So my presentation outline is basically introduction will be on the Sikh in Malaysia, understanding Malaysian youth policy, trying to come up with the idea of what is the Sikh youth issues, the present scenario of Malaysian Gurdwaras, and the role of Gurdwaras and NGOs, and moving forward, and how do we bring our young people to the next level, to empower them, to give them opportunity to lead the Gurdwaras and NGOs and so on. So as we know that we are a very small community, a minority ethnic community, until today I don't even have a number. What is the number of population of Sikh in Malaysia? So we do not know basically. I always make an estimation of 70 to 80,000 from 32 millions. Hopefully by next year, by having this census of this 2020, over the next 2-3 years, we will be able to get exact figure of the Sikh community in Malaysia. And we are a respected minority for our historical contribution in maintaining law and order, especially under the British rule since 1873 in Malaya, 1882 in North Borneo and Sabah and Sarawak. And today I was reading on the Sikh in Shanghai, in China. The Sikh in Shanghai, basically they are from Hong Kong and they came from Penang. From Penang they moved to Hong Kong and then to Shanghai in China. Basically the Sikh community has contributed significantly to the economic, social development of Malaysia, and we have established Gurdwara as a social religious institution. It's not just religious institution, but social religious institution. And presently we have 125, 126 Gurdwara in Malaysia. So who is a Sikh? As we all know that in the Sikh Red Maryada in Article 1, published by SGPC, is clearly defined that Sikh is any human being who faithfully believes in one immortal being, 10 Sikh Gurus, Sri Guru Granth Sahib, the utterances and teaching of the 10 Gurus, and the importance of Amrit ceremony. And now I would like to share on very briefly on Malaysian youth policy. Why we must understand the policy, because this is the policy that governs the roadmap of young people in Malaysia. So Malaysian youth policy basically first established as a national youth development policy in 1997. And in 2014, I was involved in this policy making when this policy was amended. And 2018, the policy was implemented, and this is a very new policy that is very comprehensive for the youth development in Malaysia. So as we know, we have changed the age of the youth in Malaysia from 15 to 40 to 15 to 30 years old. And the Ministry of Youth and Sports Malaysia basically are in the midst of amending the Youth Development Acts so that they can have this age number of 15 to 30 years old. And at the moment, we can see that the number of population of youth in Malaysia is about 11 million from 32 million of Malaysian population. So what is the philosophy of Malaysian youth policy? So I'm trying to understand when we discuss on this Malaysian youth policy in the expert panel, we have basically given a focus on positive youth development. And this is what is needed. Positive youth development is basically needed. It's jumping, yeah? It's moving so fast. Positive youth development is needed to strengthen human capital among our young people. Positive youth development focus on continuous engagement. This is what we need in our community, continuous engagement, like what we do in Semelan. All right, continuous engagement. After the annual Semelan, we need to have mini Semelan throughout all the Gurdwaras. But this is not really happening over the last many years. So positive youth development promote positive outcomes for young people in fostering positive relationship and furnishing the support that need to build leadership among our young people. So we need to build our leaders, all right? Especially among our youth in Malaysia. So these are the targets of groups that we have in the Malaysian youth policy. Youth at risk, youth in the school, in the varsity, in university and colleges, youth in the international and abroad domain, professional youth, marginalized and minority youth. So this is where my role there as a panel expert, I make sure that the marginalized group and minority youth are also being covered by the ministry, and also youth at large. And the key areas are basically, we have 9 key areas: education and skill-based training, leadership, patriotism, health and well-being, entrepreneurships, volunteerism and civil society, research and innovation, youth worker professionalism, and recognition. So the one that I have bolded, highlighted is that is what we needed this. We need to have more on leadership, entrepreneurship, like what we have yesterday, the event on entrepreneurship dialogue and so on. And also not forgetting number 7, research and innovation. Many organizations do not have research and innovation in their activities and so on. So this is very sensitive, this one. So I have identified some issues that faced by our younger people in Malaysia, basically social problems such as alcoholism, divorce, conversion. Conversion is also another important aspect that we need to highlight and also discuss in Semelan, so that we know our young people, so that they do not really easily get swayed and easily been converted by many other religious groups. Identity crisis, leadership, we have an issue of lack of role model, economic issue, financial stress, B40, and now we have M40 group, health issues, obesity, diabetes among younger people, and of course number 6 on politics. We do not have many young Sikh involved in national politics. We must encourage our young people to register as voters for the next general election and so on. And also at the local level, at the Gurdwara level, many of our young people have been sidelined by their own local Gurdwara management committee. So basically, I want to share what are the present scenario, basically before COVID-19. Yeah? I have not really looked on during the COVID-19. Before COVID-19, we see that there's a lot of issues that we need to highlight, especially to understand whether is our Gurdwara, whether are they function or are they dysfunctional, right? Whether to see the Gurdwara is functional or dysfunctional, I think we need to observe to what extent the participation of young people, Nojuan, involved in the Gurdwara programs, activities, empowerment, and so on. And we have done basically a youth camp in 2016. There's a response from the university students from Kelantan. Basically, this event was organized by Gani Daljit and his Jata from Dharamsala. I was invited to give a lecture here, and we did group work, projects, and dialogue with the young groups here, basically from University of Malaysia, Kelantan, University Science Malaysia, and Lincoln College. So about 15 participants attended. We have a nice dialogue, interesting, and I've discovered all these issues. Basically, the response from young people that they were really unhappy with the Gurdwara politics. Gurdwara was not listening to our younger people's voices. Gender inequality still being practiced in Gurdwara. Language barrier. Granthi Sahib from India don't really communicate in English. And also number 5, this is a real issue of a lack of financial support for our students who are in the universities. So the above are basically some of the reasons why our younger people are shying away from Gurdwara. So this was events conducted, and Dr. Sukhdev was involved, myself, Gani Daljit, Achinda, and so on. Yeah. So, and then of course, number two is basically looking at Gurdwara as a political platform. You can read my work, my article. This is the article entitled Gurdwara and its Politics. I've written this in 2008 in one of the journal called Sari. Some Gurdwara Management Committee members are basically linked closely with the political parties. So some of them run Gurdwara and fully navigate Gurdwara Management Committee. They use Gurdwara Management Committee platform to recruit members for political reasons and so on. So Gurdwara election are basically some of the root cause of problems. So over the years, I've been observing some Gurdwaras in Malaysia, and I've traveled to many Gurdwaras in Malaysia, basically, Sabah, Sarawak, and also in Peninsular Malaysia. And I observe we have produced many political Sewadar rather than having a true Sewadar. So, and some Gurdwara are not interested in Sikhi Prachar and more keen in infrastructure, renovation, and so on. And then number 3, the factors are basically senior members are dominating the Gurdwaras. Only a small number of Naujuan get selected in Gurdwara Management Committee. Therefore, there's some conflict, dispute between the senior and younger people. This is not new in Malaysia, right? So we have to be fair. Gurdwara Management Committee must be fair, must give a fair representation for the youth and women group in the Gurdwara. We had enough quarrels, dispute in Gurdwaras. We have wasted a lot of energy, talent, and resources. So let's focus on strengthening cooperation with our younger people, women reps in the Gurdwara Management Committee. And the next is basically on Gurdwara. Basically, some Gurdwara are basically practices gender inequality. I've written an article in 2003. Males dominate Gurdwara Management Committee. So you don't see many women are involved in the decision making. All right. So I have read about India recently. Sadarni Bibi Jagir Kaur has been appointed for the 3rd time as the president of Ceremony Gurdwara Prabandhak Committee. If you can have a leader at the highest level of the Parliament of the Sikh, why don't we have a leader at our level in Malaysia and also in diaspora, right? So we seldom get elected. We seldom see women get elected as a president of Gurdwara, despite you can see many quotations on the Sikhi talking about gender equality, but what we are practicing is basically inequality, because the focus of the Gurdwara is basically on a masculine identity. So you can read my work in 2003. I've written an article on this. You may just Google it and read it. In reality, women make up only 2 or 3 seats from the 21 management members in the Gurdwara. All right, and then next, we are looking at a lack of talent management. All right, so this is the issue of Gurdwara. All right, talent management is very. We do not tap the right people. We have many youths are professional, so we need to tap their experience, their knowledge, their skills to transform our Gurdwaras. So no talent management. I don't really see many Gurdwara. Of course, I see some of the Gurdwara are doing very good job, especially Seremban, Selayang Gurdwara, Pulapol, what they call this Kajang Gurdwara is also doing on that. PJ Gurdwara are also working on that towards strengthening our younger people so that they can come and perform and also do the sewa, and also we want our younger people to come forward. So Gurdwara leaders, most of the Gurdwara leaders want to maintain their status quo. They want to keep the things, whatever they usually what they want to be, just complacent at what they have. And the mismanagement, all right, the mismanagement in Gurdwara is one of the serious matters, right? Gurdwara Management Committee members, some of them even manage the Gurdwara as though as their own property, like a family property, right? Some even like a Sendirian Berhad Gurdwara is a private company, right? So over the years, I have been observing, over the last 20 over years studying on the Sikh in Malaysia, I've seen that many Gurdwara have become a capitalist institution, right, to generate money. All right, I still remember what happened in Gurdwara side Malacca. All right, when you go and observe the Barsi in Malacca, what do you really see? All right, of course, what's happening is celebrating the Yadgari of Sant Baba Son Singh Ji and so on. But you also observe some Gurdwara who come for donation, seeking for donation. They were not given opportunity to be in the Gurdwara, but they were rather asked to be outside the Gurdwara on the roadside to get a donation. So what is going on here, right? So this is not healthy, all right? A Gurdwara from other state come for asking for the donation during the big smagam, and we let these Gurdwara people to be outside of the Gurdwara or near the roadside. To get a donation, to collect the donation. I was surprised when I observed this over some years of these problems. So I think we need to bring them together. We need to have those who want to have a donation, we can bring them together in Wada Gurdwara, whatever, so that they can also have their donation drive and so on. So what is the issue here is basically I'm looking at the current threats, right? We are failure to innovate our Prachar effort. There's a good article written by Dr. Arunajit Kaur. You can read the article in the Sikh Formation Journal, published in 2018, published by Routledge, one of the good journal. Dr. Arunajit Kaur written an article on how Sabah is transforming their Prachar, looking at over the years, over the last 50 over years, Sikh Nojon Sabah is transforming to do a lot of work for the younger people on the Prachar effort. So Gurdwara, basically I observe, have become an old folks home during the day, and empty darbar. Now of course you don't really can go to Gurdwara because of MCU and so on. And some of the Gurdwara I also observe that they hire Sewadar to perform sewa in the Gurdwara. So this is something very something shocking to me, because we need to hire a Sewadar to perform a sewa. So meaning to say, people are not doing sewa nowadays, right? Sewa nowadays, you need to pay people to do sewa. I think this is something we need to go back to the basic, to the fundamental of the teaching of the gurus. So Gurdwara have become a less functional and more as a symbolic institution. So stagnation of current programs. So we have failed to innovate. Lack of appreciation for Gurdwara Sangat, for the children, for the younger people, women, elderly group. Some Gurdwara seldom ask input, opinions, or suggestion from the Sangat. Over-reliant on the Indian Pracharak, Indian Ragis, Indian Granthi Sahib. My PhD entitled The Role of Sikh Gurdwara in Malaysia. The Role of Sikh Gurdwara, a case study of Tatakalsa and Gurdwara Sahib Kota Kinabalu. So I basically I've discovered a lot of issues happening at these two Gurdwaras. So lack of opportunity for our younger people to learn, to train, practice and perform in the Gurdwaras. So integrity issues not taken seriously. Lack proper audit, accounts. Majority Gurdwara don't even have a good database on their regular visitors. Gurdwara generate income for whom? Right? So the income of the Gurdwara need to be given to the society, benefiting the poor family, our younger people, single parent. We have many single parents in Malaysia. Some our parents, some our Sikh community are having this issue of single parent, managing the old folk and so on. mismanagement in Gurdwara, right? So I've not written basically on this mismanagement. Basically, mismanagement means corruptions, right? So it make it more interesting, like a business concept, a mismanagement. Some Gurdwara management committee member manage Gurdwara like a private, like a family property, right? So these are the things that I think we need. We need to move forward. We need to bring our younger people to lead the Gurdwara, to lead, empower them, right? Lack of talent management. Okay. So what is the role of Gurdwara actually? Social religious institution, right? We have many roles of Gurdwaras, right? Gurdwara is a religious institution. Identity formation. This is where we build our identity formation. Khalsa Pantha. Authority defined identity, based everyday defined identity. So different. Family institution, from birth to death, all the ceremony are performed in the Gurdwara. Gurdwara is an education institution. History, Gurmukhi, Punjabi language, human capital development, all are basically based in Gurdwara. Economic institution, Daswan, fundraising, all this must be mobilized in the Gurdwara. Political institution, dealing with various stakeholders, with the state, with the community, and so on. And of course, looking at education role, especially in the advancement of the Sikh history, Punjabi language, and the literature, Punjabi education. We will look at Khalsa Diwan Malaysia as a prime mover of Punjabi language education in Malaysia. They operate Punjabi Education Center nationwide with the support of all the Gurdwaras. So this is very noble initiative. This is what the people must support, the Gurdwara, and also support the Khalsa Diwan Malaysia. Some Gurdwara also organize musical, kirtan classes, learn waja, tabla, and so on. Community youth engagement. All right, Gurdwara as community development. Gurdwara roles to develop our youths, right? The formation of Sikh identity. So this is where Sikh Naujawan Sabah played an important role. Since 1963, all right, Sikh Naujawan Sabah has been doing very good job in managing Sikh youth development. Of course, there are some issues here and there. And this issue can be dealt with when we have a good team, good support from the community, and also the support from all Gurdwaras. Majority Gurdwaras are in supportive of Sikh Naujawan Sabah activities, especially the annual and mini Semelans. So all these we need this for capacity building. So when we talk about community development, we talk about three important aspects. One is participation, second is capacity building, and the third one lead to empowerment. So all these must go hand to hand. So what is youth empowerment? Empowerment refers to individual, families, organization, and community in gaining control of your own life to improve equity and quality of life. So youth empowerment is needed in our society. Youth must be assisted to succeed in their life. We need to bring them together. We need to handle their issues. We need to liaise with all their issues if they can't go into a university. How do you bring their appeals to the university? We need to bring them together. So all these organizations, Gurdwara must play the role. When youth are empowered, I believe, then the future of Gurdwara is secured, taken care as a social religious institution, and of course the community well-being can be also taken care when our youth are empowered. So how do we empower them? Empowering Sikh youth. We need to practice smart partnership. We need to listen to them. We need to get them together. We need to have dialogue with the younger people. We cannot just move them aside. We must be ready to listen to different views. Alternative discourse is very important because our Sikh youth are our asset. They are our leaders. So we need to support them. Gurdwara Management Committee must support them, give them guidance. Of course, Gurdwara Management Committee need new ideas. We do not want all these recycled ideas. We want a new ideas, new platform, like what we are doing now, e-Samelan. We can have many e-Samelan in respective Gurdwaras, a small mini Samelan. You can have a dynamic group. See, we have a technology, so we need to maximize this technology. So we have to move away from all this traditional thinking. So Gurdwara must do a lot of investment on technology, on research. Let them come in, give them opportunity, have the Nojuan Satsang, let them do whatever they want to do in Gurdwara, sports, education, leadership, and so on. So what Sikh youth need from GMC? They need a database. We don't have a Sikh community profile in Malaysia, right? Of course, you have your respective Gurdwara members, right? We don't have we don't even know what's our community issue here, right? So when the Sikh leaders go and visit the government, they always go. They don't really go together. They always go separately. Why? All right. So I have this concern, because the government always asks. Sometimes they ask me, why your leaders are coming separately? Why can't they come together as a team to raise the issue? See, the money is there with the government, but we do not really want. Some of them say, why do we need money from the government? Why are we become beggars? We have to ask the government, because we are paying tax. All of the Sikh professional groups, those who are working, are contributing to the tax. So we have the right to ask from the government. So the financial assistance needed, welfare of the society. Our young people need good books, libraries, journals. Now we have all the e-journals, e-books, and so on. ICT facility, website, Wi-Fi. All right. We don't have many Gurdwara have a good sports facility. Gym, futsal, Kampung Pandan have a good setup. They have the Kampung Pandan Gurdwara have beside the Gurdwara, they have a nice futsal. They have a hockey team there. They have a football team, a gatka team. Why can't we have in all the Gurdwara all these activities? So I like to congratulate some Gurdwaras in Kuala Lumpur, initiative all this sports activity in the Gurdwaras. So now I would like to move on to the role of NGOs. All right. So these are the 5 active Sikh NGOs in Malaysia. I know some of you might be angry with me later. All right. So if you have been angry with me, so please learn from what Prof. Dalil Kaur have mentioned to you about how to deal with anger. Right. So my idea of why these 5 active NGOs there is stated here is basically, I have seen their record, I've seen their performance, I've observed them over the last 20 years, what they have been doing in Malaysia, and I've gone through all whatever, I've checked the activities and so on. So Khalsa Diwan, established in 1903 in Taiping, established by the Malay State Guides. If you remember the history, we have a Para-Armed Police, 1877 to 1884, and then we have a 1st Battalion Perak Sikh, 1884 to 1896, and then we have 1896 to 1915, we have Malay State Guides. So some part of these groups of the Malay State Guide form Khalsa Diwan Malaysia. And the best, we see the Khalsa, even in the Malay State Guide, you have a separate few groups, all right? You have this Maja, Malwa, and Dwaba group. So we don't have this issue now, Maja, Malwa, segregation and all these things. But those days we have all this in the regiment of Malay State Guides. So, and then we have looking at Malaysian Sikh Union, 1947, to promote Sikh unity. I think Malaysian Sikh Union need to do a lot of work, right? I don't really, we want to see what this unity are they talking about, right? Sikh Nojuan Sabah, very consistently over the last, since 1963, has been doing a lot of good seva for youth development, right? So I think this is one of the active Sikh NGO. And then we have a Malaysian Gurdwara Council, established in 1988 to promote and preserve Sikh religion, identity, heritage. I was involved in Malaysian Gurdwara Council, giving some lectures here and there. I think there's a lot of work need to be done here in Malaysian Gurdwara Council, how to educate all the Gurdwaras on the right protocols, on the right dealing with the community and so on. And number 5, I think I'm so impressed with this NGO, a Sikh Women Awareness Network, all right, established in 2004, and they have been doing a lot of good seva to improve the Sikh women well-being. All right. So I think I would like to propose to any one of you who are interested to study all these, the above NGOs for masters and PhD thesis in the field of community development. Of course, I can supervise this as a supervisor, and I think you can do a case study of all these organizations. So my observation on this organization basically is most of our NGOs tend to work in silos. All right. So the question is why? Right? Is it because lack of trust? Is it because of competition? Or is it because simply ego? Right? So NGOs, we are small. Please remember, we are a small community. We are the respected community. When I go for the meeting, the government meeting, I don't really hear any complaint on our community from the government. Right? The government always say, you people are doing very well, the Sikh are doing well, but actually the government do not really know what is the problem we are facing at the bottom here. Right? So we have a lot of issues. But our NGOs, some of the NGOs do not really want to share their issues with the government. Then some people say, why are we exposing our problem to the people and so on? If you don't expose the problem, you don't share your problem, how can we be assisted by the government, by the ministry and so on? So therefore, NGO, I propose again, I would like to humbly request, must work collectively for the Sikh community development agenda. We don't have a Malaysian Sikh blueprint. I remember I've read in 1979, there was a Sikh conference, Sikh seminar. There was a report in 1979. There's so many issues being discussed there. Right? And the 1979 issues are the same issues that we are facing now. So over the last 30 or 40 years, we don't really improve in terms of the well-being of the community. I'm talking about community development policy for the Sikh. We have a Malaysian Indian blueprint. I have reviewed the blueprint. I have presented this and I have written in Asia Samachar. I have given my comments, this blueprint to the government, to the Ketua Setiausaha Negara, Chief Secretary of the General, Secretary General of the Government, Tan Sri Ali Amsa, on my unhappiness of the blueprint. But unfortunately, I didn't get any support from the Sikh NGOs in Malaysia while I was challenging the government on this Malaysian India blueprint. I do not know why. Maybe they have their own reason. Or maybe some NGOs don't really like me talking. All right? But you cannot stop me talking on the issues of what's happening in the community. Because as a researcher, I have to raise the issue so that our issue been addressed by the government. So we need more youth participation in NGOs. We need a good succession plan. We need a talent management. And of course, we need to celebrate differences. We need to celebrate new ideas. Right? Moving forward, these are the take-home message to all the NGOs and of course the Sikh leaders. I know many Sikh leaders will be listening to me here today. So we need a comprehensive database on our Malaysian Sikh youth and also on the Sikh community. Our Sikh youth need support and engagement. Remember I used the word engagement. That was a positive youth development idea of engagement from various stakeholders, Sikh Nojawan Sabah, Malaysian Gurdwara Council, Khalsa Dewan Malaysia, and other Sikh professional bodies, including Malaysian Sikh Education Aid Fund, who are doing a good job in giving fund, giving education loan to the underprivileged society and so on. I have benefited from Malaysian Sikh Education Aid Fund. They supported my education and so on. So I'm very thankful to this organization. And of course, Gurdwara role to organize capacity and capability building program. We can invite many professional groups, medical doctors, accountants, lawyers. We have many good lawyers in Malaysia. We can invite academics, those at University Malaya, many universities. We have many good scholars around who can guide our younger people. We need a platform here. Right? So today is the best platform, and we can organize public speaking, a debate for our young people so that we can have new ideas. How do we discuss on sustainable development goals? What about SDG? Sikh and sustainability. There's a paper written on Sikh and sustainability. I think we need to read all this. Right? We need to promote leadership and talent management program, especially academic workshop, seminars. We can come to university, Sikh youth can come to university, Sabah can come to UPM, UITM, many universities, we can get all this platform. Active participation in various government programs. I don't see many our young leaders are participating in government program, right? So most of all the time. Okay, I think now it's better. All right. Okay. All right. I'm sorry for all this mishap and so on. Technical, so we are dealing with the digital age and so on. So we need to mobilize our Sikh youth to engage and participate in various social, economic, and political activities in Malaysia. So we have many young talents, talented youths. So we need to bring them, all right? Bring them forward in any meetings that when all these NGOs are going for a meeting with the governments or whatever meetings. So bring our young people together. Let them learn together, right? We need to give them an experience, exposure, right? Moving forward, engagement. I believe in engagement. Engage our young people through social media, be open, and share our sewa with younger people, right? Sewa is not just about doing alone. The more you share, the more mewa you get, right? So I believe in sewa, and I hope that our Gurdwara Management Committee must be open and give opportunity to the young people to lead, to bring our Gurdwara to the next level. Our youth are not only the leaders of tomorrow, but the leaders of today. Remember, our younger people, Nojuan, is drifting away from Sikhi and Gurdwaras. So we need to really discuss this matter, and we really need to listen to them, because by listening to them, we get their input, and then we tailor whatever program according to their needs, according to their whatever ideas that they want to bring forward. Promote leadership. All right, so this is going backward. So we have a good platform, all right, the above Asia Samachar and Sikh Insight. I'm so happy to see all these Asia Samachar, Sikh Insight are doing a very wonderful job, all right. So we use the platform to share your news happening in your local Gurdwara, so that other Gurdwara may pick up your ideas, your best practices, best engagement approach. So these are the platform I think is relevant, and we may use them, all right, for us to bring our young people to the next level. So as a conclusion, the big question is, how do we educate our Gurdwara Management Committee members to focus strictly on their duties and responsibility to disseminate the Sikh virtues and teaching of the Sri Guru Granth Sahib and Sikh Rahat Maryada? So we need to make sure that the Gurdwara Management Committee understand first, right? Therefore, capacity building, talent management program should be enhanced in Gurdwara. We must enhance this program so that our young people can participate and also share their views and so on. Malaysian Gurdwara Council should be more proactive in their role to advise GMC member. All right. Sometimes I have been attending many AGM in many Gurdwaras as an observer. So sometimes I really see what's happening there, right? So I also read some Gurdwara's AGM reports. So as a researcher, I need to read all the report so that I understand what's happening, all right? So Gurdwara Management Committee members must be professional and ethical in managing Gurdwara. So we need to avoid all these unethical activities in Gurdwara, mismanagement of funds and so on. So we need more professional and dynamic youths to assist Gurdwara and Sikh NGOs and contribute positively for the Sikh community development. As we know that our Gurdwara need help from various groups. Therefore, younger generation, Nojuan, is the best platform, is the best group to lead our Gurdwaras. and let practice good governance in Gurdwara. So we talk about governance matters, right? I just finished reading a National Auditor report for this year, for last year. It's about 600 over pages. There's a lot of issues in the country on these auditor reports. So when I read the auditor report of the Singapore, it's only 93 pages, right? So we haven't read anything on the governance of the reports of these Gurdwaras, right? So integrity and accountability must be given special attention in all Gurdwaras and NGOs. Without youth participation, without our Nojuan and support, we might encounter new problems in managing Gurdwaras and NGO in the near future. We have many talented people. I believe we have many younger people, professional group who can make this change happen. Let us tap on their expertise and their experiences so that we can move forward as a team, as a Sikh Panther together, not working as a silo and so on. With that, I would like to end my presentation. Thank you very much. So I would like to welcome all of you to share any of your questions and concerns to both of us. Thank you. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. I can see there's no question yet.
No question. Any question, please?
I can't see it.
There's a question there.
Okay, there's a question there. How can Sabah encourage youth practice good governance? It's very good questions, right? So I think Sabah need, of course, they are they already have a new team. New management is doing trying the best to bring the Sikh forward, the youth forward. I think the most important of bringing the good governance is the leaders themselves must practice accountability, integrity. So for us, if you want to be a leader, we ourselves must be self-practice all this integrity. And then only we can bring all these messages to the younger people and to the community and so on. So I think so far I don't really see any much issue in the Sabah. Of course, I think most important is how do we bring good practices, accountability in terms of accounts, records, leadership, and so on. So I hope that with the new management, you can go and definitely do better and get more people, diverse ideas, let people criticize. I believe in criticism. The more students critique me, the more I learn, right? So do not be defensive, right? So I don't be defensive. Let's listen to the different views. So that's how we must move forward, right? So the issue is the old guard not leaving. This is the biggest issue. How do we get the old guards? The old guard can be there as an advisory role. All right, it's difficult for them to go. I know, right? I've been attending this AGM in some Gurdwaras, right? Sometimes we need to tap on their shoulders, right? Give other people to lead. Right? It's just same like the Rukun Tetangga. When I was doing some work on Rukun Tetangga, the chairman of Rukun Tetangga is a neighborhood organization. The chairman was almost for 20 years. I told him, Uncle, enough is enough. Give other people, all right? Make a 2 terms enough. Let other people run the Gurdwaras so that you have new ideas, right? So the old guard, you have done your sewa. And sewa, if you have done a good sewa, that's very good. And let other people come forward and do sewa together. So the old guards, my advice to you, you are important. I'm not saying the old guards are not important. You are important at the moment as advisory role. Advisory role to tap them, to bring them forward and to advise them, not so much to interfere on the running of the organization of the Gurdwaras, right? The issue, okay, Vijay, my question, how can we overcome Gurdwara president who drink alcohol and managing? So this is another challenging issues that I think, of course I said, we ourselves first have to be clear, right? So it's all about self, right? So whatever we do, we need to make sure ourselves is correct, right? So it's difficult, but you have to work slowly to overcome this matter. How do you look into leadership and gender stereotyping in general when it comes to tailoring for position in Gurdwara? Yeah, actually, Gurdwara politics, if you read my work on this Gurdwara politics, 2008, I've written on this article. Women hardly been elected as a president, okay? But women have been used to mobilize support. They have been used to mobilize support for their husband, for their relative, but we don't bring them forward to be a leader. There's only Gurdwara run by the woman. I think it's the Gurdwara Side Pusing, right? Everything run by the woman. That's very good. So at least we see how women empower, they can manage. So let's share the Sewa together. You have 21, 22 committee members. Why can't we have about 6 or 7 women in this one as a member? Malaysian Gurdwara Council, you check on Malaysian Gurdwara Council website. You don't even have a single exco in the Malaysian Gurdwara Council. Woman as a woman, there's no exco, right? Why? As though women are not important in Malaysia, as Sikh women are not important, despite Sikhi talk about gender equality. So these are the issues, basic issues that I think our leaders must be creative. Our leaders must appreciate gender diversity, gender equality is very important. So many questions, good question coming up. Can we initiate Sikh blueprint? Of course we can initiate a Sikh blueprint. All leaders get together, we academic can come together and help to organize, to have a good blueprint. We already know what's our issues. But when you want to have a blueprint, we must make sure all NGOs must come forward together. No personal agenda, no vested interest. The priority must be given to the community interest, not self-interest, right? So if any of the organization is willing to take up a blueprint, my team, we can organize a dialogue, we can have a group of academics, we can have a good team to come up with a blueprint. We can get support from the government on this, right? So but the important thing is, coming for the Sewa, no personal agenda, no vested interest, okay? Everybody must do together because our community needs support from everyone, from the NGOs and also from the Gurdwaras. All right, now I can pass to Prof. Dalinko on this another question on mental health.
Yeah, I can see something which is, what's your view on the prevalence of mental health issues and well-being among the younger generations in Sikh population? Well, we can see nowadays lately that among the young ones now, what we are seeing it's happening, it's being pressurized, okay? At home, of course, kids are being pressured, and of course, also being pressured in schools. And what lately we see after most of these mental health issues is among, I'm not too sure among the Sikh, but we have been seeing lately it's commit suicide among the young ones. When they are finding it very difficult to deal with their health issues, what's happening is I think what they are finding is a lack of a space for them to actually reveal what they are actually suffering from. So it's very important as parents, I would say firstly is to know your child, because I think due to being pressured, of course, also this COVID-19 has also somehow or rather affected kids in terms of mental, being at home, confined at home, as much as it has affected women, it has also affected children, I would say. And among the youths nowadays, it's very important. I think when they are facing mental health issues, I think we can foresee when they are being pressurized. I think the first thing is that we need to have a platform where kids can have someone to talk to. Sometimes they do find it very difficult to talk to parents. Maybe this is where we can come up with some development programs for children where they can actually find, issues. Counseling, it's important. Actually at the universities we have, we can identify when our students are actually facing mental health issues. We do have counseling sessions for students. And we can foresee, it's seen in the trend when these kids are facing mental problem. We can see it in terms when their results, it's seen there, and it's also seen that there is a lack of support, especially from the parents. It's very important. I feel there need to be a lot of engagement with parents and among the children. That's one thing which I feel it's important for us to look into the mental health issues. And it's very important, firstly, it's teach them in order how to control anger, because most of the root cause that we see nowadays starts from anger. And I think if we can learn a little on how to actually control anger, I think we can solve many issues among the youths nowadays. Yeah, can I see? Any?
Waheguru. Beautiful. Sincere thanks to all the panelists sharing the impressive knowledge shared by the experts in the respective their fields. This professional knowledge shared, backed by vast research, which is very valuable. Please do embark them to continuously improve in our daily lives. I hope all the Gurdwara Sahib Ji and Sikh NGOs, Pradhan and Presidents will action this matter seriously. We hereby thank Professor Sajid Singh Gill, has shared vast knowledge on how our local Gurdwara Sahibs and Sikh NGOs can play their role in empowering our Sikh youths. And special thanks to Professor Dalila Kaur on anger management and talk towards legal consequences for our Sewadar and Virtuous Sasangat. And lastly, as our patron Sant Baba Naranjan Singh says, controversy is everywhere. And we need to get ourselves away from controversy. And Santji's advice to Malaysian Sangat is to recite Tan Tan Sahib Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji 5 times upon waking up every morning, so that we have the positive energy of the day and there's no negativity in this. And I take this time to call upon our Jathedar of Sikh Nojon Sabah, Malaysia, to give a token to our panelists. Jathedar Sahib Sri Harjinder Singh Ji, thank you Professor Dr. Sajid Singh Gill Ji. Bole So Nihar, Sat Sri Akal. Professor Dr. Dalila Kaur Randawal, we thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bole So Nihar, Sat Sri Akal. To end the program, dear Sangat and Sewadars, please do not forget to join us tomorrow again. Another segment of Sewadar talk by our well-known Veer Jakmohan Singh, topic on mindfulness and neuroplasticity. Let's look forward to see you tomorrow at 2 p.m. to 4 again. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Thank you, Sangat Ji. Thank you.
जप मन सतनाम जप मन